Welcome back, deep divers. You know, I was thinking the other day about something that really gets to me: history's unsolved mysteries. I mean, we've got all these records, artifacts, stories passed down, and still there are these huge gaps in our understanding. Entire groups of people gone. Poof! Just like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Unexplained disappearances,
Hmm.
especially in the ancient world. It makes you wonder, what happened? And how much do we really know about the past?
Exactly. So today we're diving deep into some of the most perplexing cases from antiquity, where people, even whole civilizations, seem to have vanished without a trace. I mean, we're talking large-scale stuff, not just a missing person here or there.
Right. We're talking about numbers that make you scratch your head, cases that have stumped historians and archaeologists for centuries.
And that's what we're here to do, to look at the evidence, or lack thereof, and explore some of the theories. We've got a few really interesting ones lined up: the lost Roman Ninth Legion, the Minoan civilization, and even the story of Cambyses' army swallowed by the desert.
We're going to need to keep an open mind, though, right? I mean, when you're dealing with events from so long ago, evidence can be scarce and interpretations can vary wildly.
Absolutely. But that's part of the fun, right? Examining different perspectives, piecing together the puzzle, and maybe, just maybe, getting a little closer to the truth. So, shall we start with the Romans? The Ninth Legion, to be precise. Everyone's heard of them, right? Or, well, not heard from them, I guess.
Ah, yes, the ninth. A classic mystery. One of those that just captures the imagination. We know they were a formidable force in the Roman army, stationed in Britain for a good while, early 2nd century CE.
Then, poof, vanished. Nothing. No decisive battle accounts, no records of them being disbanded, nothing. And for a legion, that's a lot of people, like
Yeah.
5,000 soldiers, plus all the support staff, camp followers, all that.
It is strange, isn't it? You'd think there would be some trace, some record of what happened to them. Some theories suggest they were wiped out in a battle with the Britons, maybe one the Romans didn't want to record.
Yeah, a defeat too embarrassing to make it into the official history books. Others suggest they were sent to the east, maybe absorbed into another legion or redeployed somewhere else.
And then there's the possibility, and this is always a fun one, they mutinied, went rogue, disappeared into the wilds of Britannia.
Now that would make for a great movie plot. Okay, so we've got military defeat, reassignment, mutiny, and probably a dozen other theories floating around out there. It's fascinating that something on this scale could just vanish from the historical record. Now let's move on to a disappearance of a different kind. A whole civilization, the Minoans. These guys were the real deal, thriving on Crete, advanced, artistic, a maritime powerhouse.
Yeah, the Minoans, they were a remarkable culture. Around 1450 BCE, they just seemed to collapse. Now, this one, we do have some potential culprits. A big one that always comes up is the volcanic eruption of Thera, present-day Santorini.
That was a massive event. Eruption, earthquakes, tsunamis, the works definitely could have wreaked havoc on the Minoan civilization.
It's thought that the eruption caused widespread devastation, disrupted trade, agriculture, you name it, weakened them perhaps, making them vulnerable to invaders.
Like the Mycenaeans from mainland Greece. I've read they were becoming a powerful force around that time.
Right. It's possible they saw an opportunity, took advantage of the situation, or it could have been a combination of factors: environmental disaster, political instability, internal strife, maybe even a plague. We may never know for sure what the nail in the coffin was.
It's a stark reminder of how fragile even the most advanced civilizations can be. Natural disasters, human conflict, internal pressures, all these things can lead to a society's decline, even its disappearance. And speaking of disappearing acts, the story of Cambyses and his army is one that sounds almost too incredible to be true. This is straight out of Herodotus, a Persian army of 50,000 men marching into the Egyptian desert, never to be seen again.
It is a bit of a head-scratcher. Herodotus claims they were swallowed up by a massive sandstorm. But some historians, they're a little skeptical. They question the reliability of his account, suggest maybe he was embellishing things a bit.
50,000 men disappearing without a trace. Even if a sandstorm could be that devastating, you'd think there would be some evidence left behind, right? Some bones, some weapons, something.
You would, wouldn't you? But nothing. Nada. The desert is a harsh mistress. It's certainly possible that a combination of factors could have led to their demise. Extreme weather, poor navigation, internal conflict, maybe even they ran out of water. It's a puzzle with more questions than answers.
And then, of course, we have to talk about Atlantis. It's the ultimate lost civilization, the one that's captured imaginations for centuries, a technologically advanced island nation swallowed by the sea. But Is it fact or fiction?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Hmm.
Plato, he's the one who first wrote about Atlantis. Many scholars believe it was more of a philosophical allegory, a warning about the dangers of hubris and the cyclical nature of civilizations.
But there are those who believe it was a real place. They point to Plato's detailed descriptions, his claim that it was based on ancient Egyptian accounts. And over the years, people have proposed all sorts of locations, from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic.
It's a story that resonates with us, right? The idea of a lost world, advanced beyond our own, destroyed in a cataclysmic event. It taps into something deep within us, a fascination with the unknown, with the possibility that there are secrets of the past yet to be uncovered.
So we've covered some pretty mind-boggling disappearances, haven't we? From legions to entire civilizations, vanished without a trace. But before we get too carried away with the mystery, it's important to remember there are ways to approach these historical puzzles, right?
Absolutely. We can't just jump to conclusions or rely on wild speculation. We need to be methodical, critical in our thinking. And most importantly, we need to look at the context.
So understanding the time period, the culture, the political landscape, all that jazz is essential when trying to make sense of these disappearances.
Absolutely. Let's take the Roanoke colony, for example. It disappeared under mysterious circumstances in the late 16th century. To understand what might have happened, you have to look at the relationship between England and Spain at the time, the challenges of establishing a colony in the New World, the interactions with the Native Americans.
All the factors that could have played a role, you're basically saying don't just look at the disappearance itself, but look at the world surrounding it.
Precisely. Now, another important thing to remember is there are often multiple interpretations, multiple theories about what might have happened. And that's okay.
It means we have to be open to different possibilities. Like with Roanoke, some believe the colonists were assimilated into local tribes. Others think they might have perished due to disease or starvation. Some even suggest they tried to sail back to England and were lost at sea.
Exactly. We need to consider all the possibilities, weigh the evidence, and avoid getting too attached to one particular theory. And sometimes it can be helpful to look for patterns.
Patterns, you mean like similarities between different disappearances?
Yes. For example, if we look at the collapse of the ancestral Pueblones in the American Southwest and the decline of the Minoans, we see some interesting parallels.
Yeah.
Both faced environmental challenges, droughts, resource depletion.
So, by comparing these cases, we might get a better understanding of how environmental pressures, social structures, maybe even cultural factors can contribute to a society's decline.
Right. And it's important to remember the sources we use to understand these events, they're not always perfect.
So, question everything, right? Don't just take
Right.
ancient texts or archaeological findings at face value.
Exactly. Herodotus, for instance, he was a great storyteller, but he also had his biases, and he wasn't always accurate. And archaeological evidence, it could be incomplete, misinterpreted. We need to be critical of the information we have and be willing to reevaluate our understanding as new discoveries are made.
Because archaeology is always evolving. New sites, new technologies, new ways of analyzing data.
It's exciting, really. Ancient DNA analysis, for example, is revolutionizing our understanding of ancient populations, their movements, their relationships. This could shed new light on some of these disappearances, maybe even solve them.
So, what you're saying is stay curious, stay open minded, and be prepared for new information to change our understanding of the past. And it's not just about digging in the dirt and reading old texts. Technology can play a role too, right?
Absolutely. Digital reconstructions and simulations can help us visualize ancient environments, test different theories, and get a better feel for the context of these disappearances. Imagine being able to virtually explore Minoan Crete before the eruption of Thera.
Or simulate the path of Cambyses' army through the desert, see the challenges they might have faced. That's amazing. And let's not forget the power of community, of collaboration.
Online forums, discussions, they can bring together people from all over the world who are passionate about history. Sharing ideas, debating interpretations, it can spark new insights and keep the exploration going.
So, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? We explored some of the most perplexing disappearances from antiquity, talked about ways to approach these historical puzzles, and even touched on the role of technology and collaboration in unraveling the mysteries of the past. It's really incredible how much we still don't know, isn't it?
It is. And I think that's part of what makes history so fascinating. The unknown, the unanswered questions. They challenge us to think differently, to be more critical, and to never stop searching for answers.
And they remind us that even the most powerful empires, the most advanced civilizations, are not immune to the forces of change, to the whims of fate, to the relentless march of time. And sometimes all that remains are whispers and legends, faint echoes of a past that has vanished from view.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep an open mind. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one to uncover the truth behind one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries.
And on that note, deep divers, thanks for joining us on this journey into the shadows of history. Until next time, keep those minds curious.